The following video contains strong language. Not that I care, I'm just letting you know. If you ever feel stuck on something you always wanted to do, and maybe you're stuck because you care too much about what people are gonna think, maybe you feel like you're going to fail or get rejected and that will end up hurting your self-esteem, or maybe you're scared of doing something for whatever reason, it's time to stop giving a fuck. But how do I do that? How do I stop giving a fuck? I mean, that statement can be a bit... Dude. What? You did that on your last video, it's getting old. Okay, one book that's gonna help you understand how to not give a fuck is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Just like the premise of the title, you can't just go around not giving a fuck about anything. That's why it's a subtle art. To stop caring about mundane things, you need to care a lot about what really matters to you. So that's all it is. We can end this video now. Okay, let me elaborate. When you really give a fuck about what's important in your life, then everything else doesn't really impact you that much, or not at all. But I do care about what's important in my life, so what's the catch here? One of the issues is entitlement. We care too much about our ego, about our image, and it's really hard to blame anyone for that, because we're constantly told that we're unique, that we're special, thus making us feel like we're entitled to something, like the world owes us something. And this happens to anyone who's spoiled or anyone who makes themselves a victim. They're two extremes of the same idea that the world owes them something. The feeling that our unique special self deserves something blocks us from taking responsibility to get out into the world and earn what we want. But trying and failing and appearing to be a loser threatens the idea that our existence deserves this special attention, some special reward for just being me. Okay. And that threat to our ego or our identity is why we give too much of a fuck. And then we get stuck. We'd rather not move. So instead of going out there and winning or losing, it's easier to hold on to the idea of being a winner rather than actually being a winner. We have this perception of being grandiose, but it's an illusion. What matters is our grandiose attitudes towards what we care about. We're imperfect, so we need to take responsibility to deal with our imperfections, and not blame them on the world. See, I'm already sounding like you. You can end up feeling very defensive and victimizing yourself all the time, because everything can touch your ego and poke it. And in today's world, there's offense everywhere, even when that offense is not intended. Not that it's easy to cope with the pain sometimes, but it's up to us to deal with our emotions. So taking action towards what we want and not taking our ego too seriously is one step to not giving a fuck. That's why we love characters with powerful attitudes and strong morals, who are unshaken by what's going on around them. They just don't care. Some examples are Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird, Vito Corleone from The Godfather, Marjane Satrapi from Persepolis, Rorschach from Watchmen, and Thanos. Not that I agree with his ideals. They have a mission and that's what they care about. And in real life, we see this all the time. Great parents whose primary mission is to raise and ensure the safety of their kids. Or nurses whose priority is to ensure their patients get better. And that's also why we like nurses. That's what they care about, and everything else takes second or no priority. These are people with strong values, and what we value is also important. And that's where the second issue comes in. Values like pleasure, money, and fame are what the author calls shitty values. The problem with such values is that they're so arbitrary. At some point you'll end up prioritizing them over your own morals and other values such as honesty and compassion. And that's where stealing and corruption comes in, where you're willing to do anything for money and pleasure. Thing is, you rarely see people who achieved long-term success and fame who were just after that. Like you don't see Eminem or Messi going, oh, now I'm rich, I'm just gonna stop being legendary. They wouldn't have lasted so long. In the book Bounce by Matthew Syed, he talks about how certain athletes with strong religious beliefs were able to do the unimaginable because of their values. That's all they cared about. In that sense, when we give a fuck about our values and what we want out of our lives, we don't have to care about anything else. Something else that will help you not give a fuck is accepting that you could be wrong at any point. It's accepting uncertainty. The more we think we're certain, the more we'll feel insecure, because we're always grasping to that idea that we're right about everything. Reading Sapiens can give us a perspective of how many times we've been wrong throughout history, or Cosmos gives us a perspective of how small and insignificant we can be compared to the rest of the universe. So the important part of not giving a fuck is to care about what's truly meaningful to us, family, friends, and what we love to do. And even in those scenarios, we need to learn to let go and not take ourselves too seriously. So mundane things like what people think about you, if they think that you're rich or smart, it just won't matter. You just won't give a fuck. Once we commit ourselves to what's meaningful to us, we liberate ourselves from everything else. This book by Mark Manson is a pleasure to read. It's got this informal and humorous style to it, lots of short and relatable stories, and it's only about 200 pages. It's definitely a book that anyone can take something away from. Hey, why'd you never listen to me? Oh, you're still talking. This was a really long one. And that's how you give 0 fucks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button and let me know what you thought in the comment section. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. See you soon.